to the end of the trilogy.
Is it really, though?
Is it really?
Is it really the end?
I don't think so. Welcome back, Flight Crew, to Always Believe. Today is a day you guys have all been waiting for, and it's a day we've been waiting for.
Yes, we gave everyone plenty of time to go see it.
Yeah, we didn't want to spoil this like a lot of other channels were doing too soon before people really got a chance to see it. 'Cause
it's not fair.
It's not fair. We are all really big fans, and we probably, all of us, you guys included, probably went and saw the movie like right away. But so much of the world didn't get a chance to see it yet. So we wanted to wait at least a week or two to actually give a spoiler review. Right now, that's the key word again. Spoiler review is coming right now. We are going to give our 100% honest feedback of what we truly thought of The Rise of Skywalker.
After we've seen it 3 times.
Flight Crew, we have something to admit to you.
You tell him.
We honestly did not like The Rise of Skywalker the first time we saw it.
The first time.
The first time of 3 times. Let's explain this a little bit, though. We've seen The Rise of Skywalker 3 times now. First time we saw it in the best possible way. We saw it with our good friends, a bunch of huge Star Wars fans at the Chinese theater for opening night for the first screening they did.
In cosplay. Starting at Scum and Villainy Cantina.
Yep.
Had a couple libations, and then walked on over with all of our friends. It was great.
Ashley had her brand new Rey costume, which was awesome.
I got to cosplay that little ray of sunshine.
Yeah. And then I got to wear my Anakin costume again, which is why my hair is so shaggy long right now. So we are walking to the bar right now. Well, not the bar. We're walking from Scum and Villainy, going to see Rise of Skywalker.
What theater are we going to?
We're going to the Chinese theater, which is where they originally premiered StarArs in 1977.
Oh, that little theater.
That little, it's just a little tiny place.
Backing up just now.
Look, that's me. That's me.
Woo! We're finally at the Chinese. We're waiting to go in to watch The Rise of Skywalker.
I'm the Skywalker.
I don't know.
You're the Skywalker.
Maybe. Nobody knows yet. We are at the Rise of Skywalker premiere right now. About to watch the movie. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
Ah!
You're so welcome.
Oh my god.
Thanks for supporting. Okay,
It's all over.
I can't with you. I want to be over. No.
So getting to dress up and then go see the movie made like that experience so much more fun too. We did everything possible to make the night as epic.
Over the top.
Yeah, just magical. We actually probably had a little too much fun going into the movie.
Too much fun.
You know, whoops. We had a couple drinks with our friends before we went. We had a drink while we were watching the movie too. And we just wanted to be in the best possible state to watch the film. That's how much fun we had at the movie.
Well, we have your attention.
If you think you're having fun with us, you should like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We have more things for you to see. When in doubt, use funny voices.
Yeah!
If you're new to Always Believe, like and subscribe down below. I know everybody says that for all their channels, but it's true. We have so much fun stuff we're doing all the time, and we want you to come on these trips with us, going around the galaxy to Galaxy's Edge to Disneyland. And we love having you guys here to talk with you and play with you on Always Believe. So keep posted on what we're doing. Get notified. Like the videos. It helps us make more videos for you.
So it's important you guys to watch until the end of this video so then you guys can jump in with your comments and opinions on what you thought of The Rise of Skywalker. Because honestly, because we are giving you our opinions, we really want to know yours too.
There's a lot we're going to cover. We really care about what your opinion is, and we want to know. So leave your comments and your thoughts below on The Rise of Skywalker. We realized after watching the movie the first time, we were probably a little too excited.
Well, we were also scrambling. We had a full day of work and finishing up the costumes, packing for our trip that we were going that next early morning. So we were very excited and kind of also burnt out by the time we actually sat down to watch the movie.
We're telling you all this in a long explanation because we want to have you understand our mental state going into that film.
It was too much.
It was too much.
It was too much for our delicate little brains to handle at that moment in time.
And I think, too, it was just too much built up the entire year of us getting ready for Star Wars.
Yeah.
After the end of the movie,
My head hurt.
Yeah.
My head hurt really bad. I had a migraine. And we were both looking at each other like, I didn't follow the storyline at all. Did you follow the story? And you're like, no, I didn't follow it.
Yeah, it felt like it was just like one scene, the next scene, the next scene. And the story just went and went and went.
It was just like, here's all the Star Wars. Ah!
Yeah, it was just like, in your face, Star Wars! And it was a little too much at
It was
first.
too much for us.
Admittedly, we had a lot of fun. Like, the start of the film had a ton of fun going into it. And I was like, okay. And then it was like, okay.
Stop.
Slow down a little
Stop.
bit. I can't handle it. That was just the experience of the first night. And we liked the movie a lot, but we didn't love it. And I was honestly kind of really upset and bummed out.
You were actually mad.
I actually recorded my reaction the first time seeing it by myself because I just needed to vent a little bit.
And I went like straight to bed when
Yeah.
we came home.
I'm a ridiculous Star Wars fan, and I need to get this out, and I need to record this for you guys. It's technically over. That is the end of the Skywalker saga. I don't know. I'm just a little overwhelmed. I'm not unhappy, but I'm not overly satisfied. I honestly, leaving that movie, said to myself, I almost liked Last Jedi more. I almost like the simplicity that film a little bit more than the overwhelming, here's everything you've ever wanted to see for Star Wars in one movie. It was a little too much for me. Even our cat is not handling it well. What do you want, Goober? What's going on? You didn't like the movie either? Meow. I'm not saying I didn't like the movie. Goober's saying it. My initial reaction to Rise of Skywalker is that was a crazy ride of a Star Wars movie. That was the most intense Star Wars movie I've ever seen. Now that we've seen it 3 times, we can give you a true, honest reaction to this film because each experience of seeing the movie has affected us in different ways, good and bad. So, just to lead in to seeing this movie, to understand the state of mind that a lot of Star Wars fans were in. Star Wars was very split going into this movie from the fandom because, unfortunately, of The Last Jedi, which gets a lot of hate from a lot of fans, and also a lot of love from a lot of fans. A lot of people actually really love that film.
I have not heard one fan that really loved it.
Well,
Honestly, I haven't.
Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, was directed by J.J. Abrams, who did The Force Awakens.
Which I loved.
I loved it too.
But that's because I also love A New Hope.
Yeah, it's very much like that. It's a copy of A New Hope in a sense. So, after the success of The Force Awakens, Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy brought on Rian Johnson, who's an acclaimed director. He's an excellent director. And they brought him in to do The Last Jedi, which kind of ended up trying to subvert a lot of expectations of fans. And it kind of really just, in the end, really made a lot of fans angry. And they were very viscerally hating on Star Wars, which was a complete shift from the love that was coming because of The Force Awakens.
And then that transferred over to other movies that followed, like Solo, unfortunately.
Solo is one of Ashley and our favorite movies. It got so much hate and negative feedback, large part in due to The Last Jedi. Solo came out like a month or 2 after The Last Jedi. And there was just so much of that toxicity still floating around The Last Jedi that it just
People are
came
like,
into
I don't want
Solo.
anything new Star Wars. Stop ruining my franchise. Stop ruining my movies.
Yeah, and with them already not liking Last Jedi, people were already kind of upset about the idea of Solo because it wasn't Harrison Ford playing Han Solo. And then there was also so much stuff going on within the shooting and production of the movie that leaked online, and people were like, this movie's going to be awful, we're not going to like it.
So basically, JJ had a lot of cleaning up to do with this third film.
JJ had an enormous, almost impossible task to kind of make this next movie not only wrapped up his new trilogy, wrapped up everything in all the 9 plus Star Wars films.
Yeah. I mean, to conclude this huge saga, that's what the whole thing was. It's like the conclusion of the Skywalker story. That's a big task.
I don't want that task. I don't think any of you, our flight crew, or any other Star Wars fans who are just finding us want that task. It's not an easy thing. We can all sit there from our computers complaining online and giving so much hate about what they're doing. But honestly, write a Star Wars movie and try to make it make sense and make it enjoyable and give everybody those feelings that we want to feel from watching Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's not easy. So toast to those guys for doing a good job. So after all this negativity that's been going on with Star Wars and Solo and Last Jedi, there was also a lot of negativity going on with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Why? Why'd they do that? I love it.
People are expecting the perfect Star Wars experience always. If they didn't get Rise of Skywalker right, that could continue to affect everything that they spent all this money and time building Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, a lot riding on the movie to do well.
So, The Rise of Skywalker really had this impossible task of bringing back the emotions and the feelings of why we all love Star Wars, why we've been so supportive of this franchise for the last 42 years.
Only 42 years?
Only 42 years.
It's older than me.
But luckily, on top of that, we have great shows now like The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, who has been saving the franchise for us all. If you don't love Baby Yoda,
What's wrong with you?
I don't think we can help you.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. This video's not for you. So after our first viewing, we had a couple days off, and then we went home for the holidays and watched it with our family for our second viewing.
I mean, we were surrounded by people we love.
Yeah, and they know how much we love Star Wars. And even greater was we got to take our little nephew to see his first big screen Star Wars movie. And that's what I was so excited about. So the whole time I was really
You
just
were like
watching
looking
it.
at him like the big
Does he
scenes.
like it? So it was fun. That was making that experience that much more meaningful.
We didn't have anything to drink. We got a full night's sleep.
Yeah,
we
it was an
wearing,
afternoon movie.
We're wearing costumes.
No, we did everything right on that second viewing.
We went pee-pee first.
The only problem with the second viewing is I had to pee the worst I've ever had to pee in my entire life.
Jumped over like 10 people.
At the end of the movie, I just leaped out of the theater and I ran. I thought my kidneys were going to explode. So second viewing was great. We left the first viewing kind of unsure what we felt, but after going into that second viewing and leaving, we already knew what the movie was about. We didn't have any of those fears. Like, I feel like the first time you watch the movie, this has happened to me a lot of times, there's so much fear behind what you're going to see, and are you going to see something that you're going to not like, and it's going to ruin the experience, so you're kind of tense the whole time watching the movie.
That's true. I felt like that too.
But once you watch it the second time, you know what to expect, and you can kind of just relax and enjoy the experience.
I think with the second viewing, I was able to see a lot more of those kind of like fanfare moments. Mm-hmm. Where they really try to be like, oh, doesn't this bring nostalgia back of this? This is referencing this. Uh-huh. I think with the first viewing, it went so fast for me, and I was trying to take all of it in. I couldn't get those little moments, but because I already knew the general story arc that was going to happen, I knew the plot lines, I was able to kind of slow my thought process down and notice those little moments.
Kind of like channeling the Force and relaxing like Rey does and just being in the moment of Star Wars. So yesterday we did our third and possibly final viewing of the movie.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Yeah, we saw it in a really cool way, which is the 4DX theater experience.
Drink all of your drink first.
Yeah.
And eat all of your popcorn first because those chairs really move.
We were just moving. The second they started light skipping in the beginning, light speed skipping, we had only like a little bit of drink in our cup, but it still splashed out everywhere. And then I tried to hold it, and I was holding it like this, and I poured half of my drink on myself during the movie.
But it's a cool way to experience it. Not your first viewing. Detailed movie. Has a lot of things going on. And to add like movement and shaking to it and light effects and air
smoke,
and fog.
Water. Yeah, so that's a fun experience. It's like going on a Disney ride, basically, watching the movie, which was something, it was worth it. It was a lot of fun. But it also distracts from the movie a little bit.
Yeah. Do it your second time. Your second or third viewing, do the 4DX. It's fun.
So what was your biggest expectation for the movie, and did it live up to that expectation?
I had zero expectation.
Really?
Yeah, I feel if I put too much expectation on it, I'm going to get disappointed. There's no way that they can predict what I want to happen from that movie.
That's a very good point.
So I go in with zero expectation, just like I went in with the original trilogy.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that a lot of us do, and I know I do particularly. There's so much you want to see that maybe doesn't pan out, and you build up over the course of the year listening to all these Star Wars opinions online, all these leaks from some of these nonsense channels that are on YouTube, and it just creates a toxicity within the fandom.
Terrible.
It's terrible, and it just spreads negativity.
I had one expectation.
What was your one expectation?
I had one expectation, and that was to see how Leia went out. Because I was disappointed in what happened with The Last Jedi. I thought that was a great opportunity for her to have her exit. I was a little bit frustrated, but I'm really happy with what they did with her character in this last one. That I'm like, it's totally worth it. Yeah. So that was my one expectation. I wanted to see them do Leia justice. What was your expectation?
My one expectation was just to have that emotional journey that a movie should give you. Like, we got that this year with Endgame from the Avengers.
Yeah.
That had such a climatic payoff of emotions that rose to the peak of what you wanted and then just delivered completely in that final scene.
Yeah.
I wanted that from Star Wars. It's been 42 years and my life of being a fan that I just wanted to leave going, that was fun. I don't feel let down where I feel like a weird taste in my mouth or in my feelings towards the fandom. I wanted to leave like, yeah, I love it, and I'm going to go back and watch it all again.
You didn't want to be, like, unfulfilled.
Yeah, and that was sort of the insurmountable task again for JJ, is to pack so much into this one movie to make everybody feel fulfilled.
Everybody. That's
Everybody.
a lot of people.
I think this is the craziest task anybody's ever had for a movie, is to deliver in this film.
And fixing all of the mistakes from Last Jedi.
Yeah.
There was a lot of unanswered questions. There was, like, a lot of random characters that came in that didn't have complete storylines. And, I mean, there still were things that weren't answered from The Last Jedi in this movie. The majority of them he had to kind of clean up.
So what is your favorite movie of the new trilogy?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. I can agree with that. The Force Awakens was what set it all off. As big as The Rise of Skywalker is and as amazing as it is, Force Awakens is a little bit more digestible for me. It's a much more simpler story, and it brings back that essence of Star Wars. It's a very rewatchable movie, almost like A New Hope is.
A New Hope is my favorite, the entire franchise. So I don't care if it's kind of recreated with new characters. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. I mean, so many people I've talked to before are like, why don't they just redo Star Wars? I'm like, well, nobody's going to do that because the original Star Wars is great.
Don't ever do that.
But they kind of found a way to do a loophole of it because history in real life repeats itself. I'm totally cool with seeing a different version of Star Wars in these new trilogies. They had very similar story plot points. They did that for a reason, because it worked. And it's, again, history repeats itself. The same things are going to happen.
So is Force Awakens your favorite?
So Force Awakens of the new trilogy is probably my favorite.
Is that because you helped out with a little something?
A little something. Yeah, I'll have to admit, I have a little bit of a biased opinion towards these new movies. And a big reason is because I've been very, very fortunate as a fan to have fallen into a career that, honestly, I worked really hard to get into this career. So I have a little bit of a biased opinion, I have to admit. I'm completely transparent with you guys about this. I have such a passion and love for Star Wars, even more so because I've gotten to work on the marketing for the Star Wars films recently. I was very fortunate to be in a place and work at a company that got to work on movie posters for The Force Awakens. And I got very, very lucky to art direct the actual Force Awakens theatrical one-sheet poster.
We have it hung up behind us.
It's right
right
there.
there,
I look
right
at
in
it
the
every day. And, you know, that was a life-changing thing for me as a career point to have worked on that poster. And again, so many people worked on those posters. It wasn't just me. As a fan, it's like, oh, cool, this great opportunity you've always dreamed of is in front of you. And I felt kind of what JJ probably felt at.
I mean, it's great because you are such a hardcore fan and you are such a fan of the original posters, obviously. You knew what to incorporate. You knew what was true to Star Wars.
Yeah, and it wasn't really necessarily about a particular image or something like that you need to put in the poster. It was more about a feeling that you get when you see Star Wars. And
which explains why you didn't get The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Well, you got The Force Awakens, obviously, but then you got some of Solo. You got to do something for The Mandalorian. And then for this last part of the trilogy, you got the German International poster.
I feel like a lot of it is just due to me trusting my fandom experience now and really trusting in my love of Star Wars and my passion for Star Wars.
I mean, you can tell when artwork that goes into it is really from a fan. Like, what is a Star Wars poster?
Everybody has an opinion of what Star Wars is, and my opinion of Star Wars is just make something that explodes off the page. Literally the opening of Star Wars. That logo exploding off the screen and just hearing John Williams' music. I want a poster to look like that because that's what the initial feeling is. And then coming full circle, I got to end the trilogy by designing the international German poster with amazing Star Wars artist and illustrator Paul Schipper.
Check his stuff out if you haven't. It's really good.
Paul Schipper's great. He's done a lot of great Star Wars illustrations for the entire new trilogy, and I kind of view him as like the new Drew Struzan, bringing back that classic Star Wars feel.
So essentially, you already had automatic buy-in.
I wanted these movies to do well because I got to be a part of them, which I never thought would happen in my lifetime as being a fan. Great things happen when you're passionate about what you love and you just keep pursuing your dreams. Luckily, The Force Awakens was great. I still love Last Jedi. There's a lot of great moments in The Last Jedi. But then Rise of Skywalker really brought it home for us and completed this trilogy. Are we happy with the new Star Wars trilogy?
I'm happy they did it.
My passion for Star Wars came back because of this new trilogy. And I met you because of this passion for Star Wars in this new trilogy.
I know. If there was no Rogue One, I wouldn't have gone as Jenner, so.
There's a lot of things that would have not have happened in our lives if these new Star Wars films didn't happen, which is why I'm so connected to them and so invested in the Star Wars world.
So how do you feel that this last movie tied together that whole Skywalker storyline?
Yeah, I'm actually very happy with it now. After seeing the movie 3 times, especially that second time, I felt so great afterward. They did so many things that we had always wanted to see in a Star Wars film, from the books, from the comic books, from just things that you always kind of imagine you would want to see now that they have the effects and the ability to do these over-the-top scenarios. I was blown away. It was the biggest spectacle of a film I've ever seen, probably.
Yeah. I didn't think that the original trilogy needed a proper ending like that, but because they brought it back with The Force Awakens, I am actually quite happy with how they ended The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, mostly I'm happy with how they ended Leia's story.
Yeah.
That I'm happy with.
Yeah.
The first 3 didn't need a proper ending. Then once they brought Force Awakens, brought out this new character, Rey, I'm actually quite happy how they tied her storyline into the Skywalker storyline. She just found a BB-8 unit and had to return him to his owner. How did that have anything to do with this entire task given to her? But it's the Force pulling her to her destiny, which was to bring balance to the Force.
Yes.
So I am really happy with how they concluded the Skywalker line, which, technically is still going because now she's a Skywalker, so it could keep going. We got to see Luke and Leia at the end have their moment. They're like their Force goes goodbye.
Yeah.
And then being able to see Han one last time have redemption with his son. There was a lot of those emotional conclusions where you go, I feel like they're in a good place now.
Yeah.
Because they're in a good place, I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're all fine here.
I totally agree with you. That's actually a really great point about why I feel this last movie works so well. Is it just letting you say goodbye to your friends, just like 3PO said in the trailers. It was just a moment for you to talk to every one of your favorite characters, see them one last time, and just be like, it was so much fun spending a lifetime with you guys and enjoying these movies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What were our favorite moments of Rise of Skywalker?
Okay, I got 2 big ones. My first big one was seeing Leia train Rey. Oh my god, I was crying when she calls her master.
Yeah.
Oh, that really did it for me. I was really happy with that. I was so stoked to see Rey taking on that training course and really becoming a Jedi, and to have another female lead showing her how to do that. Oh, that touched my heart so hard. So that was my big moment, and which was kind of one of the opening scenes. So it was great. The other one was when Ben Solo comes back and goes to rescue Rey, and he just had all of these characteristics and mannerisms you didn't see in Kylo Ren, but were from Han Solo. So even when he hits the chain, he's like, ouch, he slides in kind of like his dad. They did it a little bit in one of the previous movies, but it was really, exaggerated. He didn't have a lightsaber, he had a blaster, and just that back shot, that was him having these characteristics like his dad. He lost all of that being Kylo Ren.
I think he almost tried to not be that version of himself for so long.
He did not like his dad,
So he really anything that reminds me of my father or anything I learned from my father, just kill it. It can't be a part of me.
But it was so sexy, honestly. I've never had a thing for Kylo Ren, but Ben Solo, yeah, I'm okay with that.
That's probably why Rey gave him a big smooch at the end of the movie.
How did you feel about the kiss?
How did we feel about the kiss at the end of the movie?
I was happy with it. I don't care. I'm one of those people that's I need to see it.
I feel like it needed to happen, because if it didn't, I think we would have been more upset than seeing it happen. You can probably go, oh, okay, they kissed. I didn't need to see that. But if you didn't see that, you would have been like, why didn't they kiss?
I would have been so disappointed, honestly, and I know a lot of other people that would have been disappointed. I think the number of people that would have been disappointed if they didn't kiss outweighed the number of people that were not happy that they kissed.
And it's maybe a kiss of love. They probably have a connection. They have such a deeper connection.
He saved her life!
He saved her life. That is an ultimate sacrifice he just gave. slave. And he literally gave his life for her. He literally gave his entire soul and his energy to bring her back to life.
And she said, like, I wanted to take your hand. I wanted to take Ben's hand. And then there was Ben who woke her up.
It's true. And that was the best moment, too, is just seeing him smile, like, pure joy and really be this happy, not dark side character for just a second. That was one of the more rewarding things about that final scene in the movie. You were just like, I can forgive Kylo Ren for everything he's done.
Yeah.
He made a mistake. And then seeing him with his father, seeing that moment with him reflecting on what he had done, admitting basically, I made the worst possible mistake.
I know.
That was probably one of my favorite moments.
I wasn't expecting Han to show up in this movie. I was fully accepting of him not making any sort of appearance.
That was such a surprise, and that was probably one of my favorite moments in the movie, was that turn into Ben Solo again, and having him talk with Harrison and getting to relive that experience of what he really wanted to say and saying, I'm sorry. And then he was about to say basically, I love you, Dad. And instead of saying that, Han just did the, I know. And that was a more special way to wrap up that character of Han Solo even.
So cool.
I loved it. Well, my favorite part was basically what I just said, I think.
Yeah,
is
same one.
Seeing Harrison Ford again, and then just in general getting to wrap up all these characters in a way that was rewarding. You got to see Han Solo come back. You got to have Carrie have her big moments, being a Jedi, explaining kind of the thing with Leia kind of floating through space in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we're like, all of a sudden she has force powers? Like, what?
It wasn't explained, but I kind of bought into it. Like, she's probably been training. She just is busy right now. She's not a Jedi like Luke.
Yeah.
But they really fully explained her storyline, which is very much like the books in the legends of her becoming a Jedi. Great scene. I loved seeing Chewbacca's final wrap-up moment, which was so sad and so special to... A lot of fans don't realize Chewbacca never got a medal at the end of A New Hope for blowing up the Death Star.
He did so much work.
He did so much work. Han Solo and Luke got medals, but Chewbacca never did. And it was always this fan thing of like, why did Chewie get screwed over? But even more special about it now is that...
Well, he got, technically, it was Han's medal, wasn't it? Because Leia was holding it.
Yeah, Leia was holding Han Solo's Yavin medal.
Yeah.
But it was nice because then Maz Kanata at the end gives that to Chewie. And it's sort of like Chewie's finally getting his medal. But Chewie's also getting Han Solo's medal, who is his best friend, his brother, his companion in life. So that was so special, and I loved that.
Yeah.
So now that you know some of our favorite moments of the movie, what were some moments that you really wanted to see, but maybe didn't happen, that you really wish it happened?
From The Last Jedi, it's just always bugged me, is that scene where she goes in, what was it, a cave?
Yeah, the cave on Ahch-To.
Yeah, and she just has all of the copies of her, and they're snapping, and it was such a weird scene, and it bugged me then, so I was hoping it would kind of answer that in this last episode, but they didn't really.
Yeah, there was not a specific answer to why that was. Like, some people theorize maybe she's literally a clone, and you're seeing that that's what she is?
That's what I was hoping. I was actually, honestly, I was hoping that Rey didn't have a tie to anybody. I was hoping she didn't have a Force bloodline. I was hoping that she was just created because the Force needed to have a balance for Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But her being a Palpatine kind of
ixnayed that.
Yeah.
That was actually a really good idea I felt that Rian Johnson did in that movie, was the idea of that you don't have to be somebody particular to be special to accomplish something in life.
Yeah, Broomstick Kid.
You can be anybody. I loved the ending of Last Jedi. I felt like that almost wrapped up the franchise just as well. Broomstick Kid was great. It's just like bringing back all the feelings you had as being a kid playing Star Wars and why you love Star Wars.
Yeah, so... that I was kind of disappointed with that.
I feel like they glossed it over, but I mean, if you guys actually picked up if they answered that scene or not, let us know in the comments below.
Please let me
we
know.
Don't know. We don't
let
know.
me know. It bugs me so bad.
And I like what you said too about bringing back balance to the Force. So Freddie Prinze Jr., who was on Star Wars Rebels, had a whole discussion with some fans online that kind of got out of hand apparently about talking about what a balance in the Force actually meant from George Lucas and Dave Filoni. It was not necessarily that good is going to overcome evil. It was that literally as evil rises, good will also rise. And there should always be evil and good be a balance with each other, just like the yin and yang symbol,
Yeah,
more
that's
or
like
less.
what Snoke said.
Good.
The light rises to meet it. Darkness rises and light to meet it.
Darkness rises and light to meet it.
Rey became so powerful because Kylo was becoming more powerful, so she had to balance it out.
The same reason why technically Anakin Skywalker went to the dark side is because the light side was so powerful at that point with the Jedi. He did bring balance to the Force. He killed almost the entire light side of the Force. So it was like nobody was left. It was literally like the Emperor and like Obi-Wan and a few straggling Jedi.
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
I love that meme. I'm in danger. Yeah, what would you have loved to see?
There was a moment at the end of the movie which I don't know if it would have maybe made it better or not, but when Rey was talking to all the former Jedi, when she's calling on them. I think a lot of fans were really hoping we would literally see the Force ghosts of a lot of the former Jedi kind of appear behind her as sort of this army of light with her in her final moments fighting against the Emperor.
It would have been so epic.
It would have been way more epic. And it's very possible they filmed that. And it's also possible they didn't, because that's a lot of people to coordinate to get together.
Well, they're all digitally put in there anyway.
That's a good point.
Oh, that would. I know. We were kind of like,
Yeah.
But you had a good explanation of why they might have not done that.
I mean, watching the movie again last night, I realized just some of the dialogue, how it works, it maybe just didn't fit in. But I think the big reason why they didn't do that is one of the final moments of the movie is seeing Luke and Leia as Force ghosts. And seeing all those other Jedi would have kind of taken away from that moment of just seeing Luke and Leia at the end as Force ghosts. Kind of like the end of Return of the Jedi.
I don't know. I think it would have been cool if they showed, like, all the Force ghosts. And then all of a sudden you see Leia, like, come in and just, like, join them.
That's true. Luke and Leia seeing them there
Fire
would have been great.
Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah.
That would have made me cry.
Big one. Big part of Star Wars. One of the biggest, most important parts of Star Wars that actually made Star Wars work, even for George Lucas. Until this part was added, the movies were not looking good. And that was John Williams' music. George was like really worried the movie was not going to work until he heard the final scoring of Star Wars in 1977. The music for Star Wars has been one of the best things about Star Wars, and it gives you all those feelings.
Consistent thing.
Yes.
The most consistent part of Star Wars is the music. Thank you, John Williams, for sticking with it.
What was even better about John Williams' music in this movie?
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time is right. It's in one of the bar scenes right before they go to meet Babu Frick.
Oh my god, he was so cute.
Babu Frick.
Babu Frick.
Hey! That's good. Yeah, like right as they're going through, there's a bar. There's a final shot of this guy with a white beard, and he's got like a little eye patch, and they look at him for a second. So you see John Williams for that split second, and it was a fun cameo, and I'm happy he's in the Star Wars movies in that way, too. But how'd you actually like the music from this movie?
I stayed away from listening to the music until I saw the movie. I was really happy with it. I was especially happy, and I don't know if I'm taking away from your happy moment, is the end. Because my favorite of all of the music, honestly, like the entire franchise, is Rey's theme. It's my favorite.
Those bell chimes?
The bell chimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll listen to Rey's theme over and over and over again. So at the conclusion of this, when she rose as a Skywalker, you hear the ding, ding, ding. It was like, dun, dun, dun. It wasn't like, hey, I'm Rey, I'm a scavenger. You know, I go and do things. Yeah. It was, I'm Rey!
I am all powerful now.
I am a Jedi!
Yeah. It's true. That was actually my favorite part of the music and the thing that I remember the most. Overall, I think the music for this trilogy been pretty great. It really felt very Star Wars. Themes like Rey's theme were excellent.
Kylo had a consistent theme too.
His dun 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 is so great. That is so Star Wars.
Didn't they kind of slow it down a little bit in this one?
Yeah, in the opening sequence when he's raging out on that planet, just killing everybody. Oh. Like his music was powerful there.
Yeah.
And I felt like the final Star Wars music was very operatic and all the built-up emotions you wanted to see. Kind of a little bit like in some of the trailers, they have those very epic remixed versions.
They use the good stuff for the trailers,
yeah.
And then you don't get to experience it in the movies, but they didn't do that this time.
And I know music can be used as sort of a way to really control your emotions in the moment. But that final moment when Lando Calrissian and I'm getting emotions now feeling about it. When those ships show up and hear the I'm feeling it right now thinking about that scene. It was so epically Star Wars, and it was so joyous to see everybody across the galaxy showing up to fight. And like they said, I loved it that it wasn't just the Resistance. It was normal people rising up. Yeah, good people will join us, and that's very symbolic of today's world. You know, somebody just needs to light the spark for something that they're upset about in society with government or whatever's going on.
Whatever's going on.
Whatever's
that
going
little
on.
thing happening right now.
Yeah, and just saying, like, you, the people, have the power to make change in your world if you just stand up together and fight back. The people who are in control, they can't do anything against everybody kind of joining together to say, enough is enough, we're not taking this anymore, you are not all powerful.
You ready to go get in your spaceship?
I'm ready to go get in our spaceship.
Everyone, go get your spaceship.
We're going to all join together.
You know where we're going.
You know where we're going. Thank you guys so much for watching so far. There's a lot we're talking about still.
We
rambled a lot, but
we hope you like that.
This is a year and like our lifetimes of loving Star Wars and wanting to talk about it with you guys. So thank you for being here.
And we've been trying to avoid talking to each other too much because we're like, save it for the review.
So now we're going to talk about Rey and what we felt about her storyline in the movie and if it worked for us and if it wrapped up and if there's any problems we had with it. Rey Palpatine. What did you think about Rey being the Emperor's granddaughter?
Like I said before, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I wanted her to be just something unique. She didn't have any Force bloodline. Gives me that buy-in that I could become that too. Like, just to know that she's nobody. You're nothing. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm nothing. That makes me even better. But I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I kind of agree. I kind of like that she was just a nobody. I thought that was a different approach that nobody was expecting, but was actually what we needed as Star Wars fans. It was a better life lesson. Because Star Wars is there to teach you life lessons about how to live your life, be a better person, and teach you your own hero's journey in life.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter, kind of, even if she had, like, the most evil of bloodline, she could still be good.
Yeah.
Leia tells her, don't ever be afraid of who you are.
Mm-hmm. Take it for what it is. It's kind of a nice connection. I think we all secretly also wanted to see that she was related to somebody. And I like the fact that her and Kylo battling throughout the movie and throughout this trilogy is technically like Vader, the Emperor fighting again from the entire trilogy.
I didn't think of it like that. It's like, like you said before, like storylines have a way of repeating themselves.
What about the explanation of Rey's parents in this movie?
They didn't really give an explanation. The dad was Palpatine's son. And they were like, oh, shoot, like, he's going to come after our daughter. We should go send her somewhere.
I wonder if they'll explain that more in some other stories later. Give you, at least you get to see her parents' faces, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. But I don't know. It kind of reminds me of Luke's adopted parents. Kind of where they exist, but they don't have any crucial parts of the story.
Yeah, they're just supposed to...
They just exist.
Smolder at the end of...
Stop! No!
What did you think about the story arc of Rey becoming a Skywalker at the end of that?
I loved that. Like, I had a few crying moments, but I cried then. I can appreciate that she kind of didn't have a family growing up. Mm-hmm. And, they kind of hinted at it throughout the whole story. They're like, who are you? She's like, I'm just Rey. Everyone wants to know her family line. I mean, that's like the story everyone had was like, what is her last name?
Yeah.
So I liked it that it was like one of those things where, no, you're in control of your own destiny. You're in control of where you go in your life.
You can become whoever you want.
Exactly. And so she was like, you know what? I want to be a Skywalker. I am Rey Skywalker. Mm-hmm. And to see, Luke and Leia's Force ghosts kind of appear and be like, yes, you are. Yeah. We're happy with that.
Those two people taught her more in her life than anybody. And they became kind of her parents or her guardians. And
definitely.
I also liked that ending with her becoming a Skywalker because technically, in a sense, her, literally now at the end of the movie, Kylo's soul basically brought her back to life. Mm-hmm. So he's technically a part of her now. She literally is a Skywalker now.
True.
And that's sort of the balance in the Force, I just realized. It's like the two of them are now one as this one entity of the Force. Wow, I wonder if she's like more powerful now, even being like Kylo connected too. Questions to be answered hopefully in future films because I want more of Rey. You want more Rey stories? Now that she's like full-blown Jedi on her own, doing her own thing? Yeah, I don't know if we need this giant conflict like we've been having for these 9 films with the Emperor. We don't need to go through that again, but there's got to be something there that we can continue to do with her storyline because... Just goes around healing people. Yeah, loved it. So for a lot of fans who've been wanting to see, when you become a full Jedi, you make your own lightsaber. What did you think about Rey's lightsaber that she made? I was so happy. We've talked about lightsabers a lot. And I've always said I don't want a recreated lightsaber. No. I'm like, I want my own, but I kind of want that one. I really do. Well, it's sort of similar too. Luke used Anakin's lightsaber until he made his own in Return of the Jedi, Rey kind of did the same.
I didn't even think about that.
I just thought about it now, too.
Oh my god, how did we miss that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we didn't because you just figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah.
But the big thing about her lightsaber that was cool is everybody, and they kind of answered this in two ways in the movie. Everybody always thought Rey's staff was going to become like a double-bladed lightsaber, which you kind of saw when she had that vision with the Darkseid Rey.
Ooh.
Her possible version of Empress Rey that she could have been.
With sharp teeth.
Yeah, that was scary. That was terrifying. But then you also got to see, in the end, she used her staff to basically build her own lightsaber, which was so cool.
With that, like, that switch.
The way it turns on. What did you think about the color of her lightsaber?
I loved it because, you know, like I always said, like if I picked my own lightsaber, it would be like an orange is what I was going for. So, and yellow was kind of close. So I'm happy that she went with yellow. It
also kind of works with the ending of the movie with the two suns. It kind of blends into that scenery.
She's the ray of sunshine.
So I like that. The ray of sunshine. I also subtly liked, and I don't know if there was a point to it, like when her ignition of her lightsaber, there's almost like little flaps, like tips that come out.
Like,
they come out as it's lit up. Oh my god, it's gonna be hard for people to figure out how to do.
Cal!
KR lightsabers, figure that out.
I want one!
But I like it. It was so much her personality and
the dark metal was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool looking.
It was like a dark black metal.
Yeah, so and a bit of fabric wrapped around
it.
Awesome.
I loved it.
Loved her lightsaber design. Would love to own one of those some point. But I also like for this movie that they reforged Anakin Luke lightsaber for this movie to kind of say they did this two ways. They did this with Kylo Ren's helmet and with the lightsaber. They were kind of saying we're gonna repair what some people felt like Rian Johnson's Last Jedi.
We'll put it back together. Use some super glue. Sorry.
They were kind of repairing what Rian Johnson's film destroyed for some people and said we're bringing the helmet back, bringing the lightsaber back, and I was happy with that. I thought that was a great way to wrap up and connect the trilogy because I liked Kylo's helmet. I think his helmet's awesome.
It was so symbolic for him.
He was so mad in the last movie that he smashed it, which I'm okay with. But bringing it back and repairing it now and seeing those fractures was symbolizing I'm still a fractured individual. I see
the cracks in your mask. You're haunted.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that was such a great line.
But then it was the Knights of Ren that helped repair it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what did you feel about the Knights of Ren?
I felt like they were just like his buddies. That were just like hanging out, like they really have a purpose. Like that scene where the helicopter obviously just shot them on the hillside.
In the desert.
I'm like, it looks like the beginning of one of those like 90s boy band music videos.
It was cool. It was a cool helicopter shot, but it was like, I hadn't seen that in Star Wars before. I felt the same way.
I didn't get it. I mean, I wished they had like led up so much to like, the Knights of Ren are going to be here.
Yeah.
I think that they did serve a purpose where he had to fight them. He had to fight his boys to get to her.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of cool when he battled them at the end.
Yeah, that was fun. I think that was their bigger purpose that they served as another obstacle for him to come over and fully be like, yes, I am done with being a part of the dark side. I'm destroying everything associated with that.
And they're probably, you know, people that he helped create. You know, they kind of were mirrored images of him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like him fighting what he created.
Yeah, exactly. He's destroying everything that he brought to life. The whole First Order, the Final Order, all of that. Yeah. It was good. Okay. So they worked.
Gives new cosplays for people that want to represent the dark side and be kind of cool and not be like the 5 million Kylo Rens we see at every convention.
I would love to see Kylo Ren and those Knights of Ren marching through just a convention hall.
We'll see it at Celebration.
Sure. Knights of Ren. Somebody do it. One of our favorite things about Star Wars, one of my favorite things about Star Wars, and one of your favorite things about Star Wars, the lightsabers. The lightsaber battles in Star Wars are so epic. And in this film in particular, they were just amazing. They were so good.
It was very good. It was different from kind of the crazy spins and flips and the finesse of the prequels. Yeah. Where you got to see, they're handling a heavy weapon that is on fire.
You
know, and
it's destroying everything in its path.
Yeah, so they held the lightsabers a little bit differently. You saw a lot of this.
Yeah.
Like these backhand things.
It felt more real fighting.
It felt more real. Yeah. You got to see them sweating. That was cool.
Yeah, that was something in the original trilogy. They said the lightsaber was supposed to feel like it's this heavy broadsword, which are really heavy, powerful weapons. You got to take these big, powerful attacks at each other. Prequels was trying to show that finesse idea of Star Wars, that they're Jedi.
I don't know what this is.
They're so good.
My baton.
Well, the Jedi are so powerful and skilled at their lightsaber skills. Like, I still love the Revenge of the Sith battle with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Okay, that was pretty cool. That's a whole other story.
Yeah. But in this new trilogy, seeing them chopping through the forest in Force Awakens, chopping down trees.
I mean, like, yeah, when she, like, spun it and it came back to her and just, like, through the tree.
That new scene where she threw a lightsaber, which is something that you've only heard about in books and seen in the video games. Rey literally threw a lightsaber and caught it back.
Boomeranged it.
Awesome. That was something I always wanted to see, and we saw it. The main fight that they had on the Death Star, so epic. So powerful. Those force jumps, those powerful jumps.
She did the force jump over that huge wave, and Kylo just walked right through it.
That was pretty badass, though, too. Yeah, I loved seeing all that. I loved seeing how powerful they were as Jedi. And they explained it in the beginning of the movie by really showing Rey training to justify all the complaints people had of, like, Rey's too powerful, she's a Mary Sue. Blah. No, she's a powerful Jedi. And you got that explanation by realizing she's
Palpatine, you keep saying Palpatine.
Palpatine's...
Say Palpatine.
Palpatine.
There you go.
By realizing...
He's a pal to you and me. Palpatine.
By explaining that she's Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter, you could understand why she's so powerful now.
I'm so happy with it. That kind of leads into the scene that was very emotional, which was when we thought Chewie, we lost him.
Yes.
When they were fighting over the ship, and she gets really emotional, and then lightning comes out.
Yeah.
I cried.
Well, I like that scene a lot because that was something people always wanted to see, even like Luke do in The Last Jedi, is see somebody pull a ship down with the Force. Again, they did a lot of things in this movie with the Force that they had never done before.
True.
They did a lot of things with the Force we'd always seen in video games, which we'd never seen them do. We saw the Force healing. All the video games allow you to heal with the Force.
Yeah.
That was a great storyline throughout the movie, too. Rey being so powerful that she could almost pull that transport down was so cool. And it was very reminiscent of The Last Jedi when they're struggling with that lightsaber.
When she electrocuted the ship, did you go, oh shoot, that's very Palpatine?
For a second, I actually just thought maybe she just went to the dark side a little bit and went a little too angry.
Yeah.
I didn't know necessarily yet that she was Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
That was really frustrating. I was really upset. I was like, I didn't want Chewie to go in that way. So part of me watching it was like, okay, we didn't lose Chewie. This can't be it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do it to let him go.
Don't do Chewie that way.
Don't do Chewie that way. But it was great to see. It was a good chance for us to see that emotion in the characters.
Yeah.
You cried kind of like her when she goes, Chewie! Yeah, you saw her face go, oh, I took it too far. And I just hurt someone I love very dearly.
Yeah. Kylo was kind of like, well, Uncle Chewie's dead. I was like, oh, what? That really justified a lot of the things moving forward to show how powerful she was, because Force Lightning is a very powerful
Yeah, how many
Force
other
ability.
people have the lightning powers?
It's a dark side power when you use that. I mean,
Yeah.
the Force is meant to be for knowledge and defense for a Jedi. It's used for protection and for helping others. You learn this a lot in the video games when you play them. But the dark side is really used for attack and kind of hurting people and stuff.
Yeah,
like
right.
Force chokes, Force lightning.
Force chokes up on the ceiling.
Yeah. But the Force is also used. It can enhance your abilities. It can make you run faster. Where there's actually a scene in the prequels where you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon at the beginning. They go, this is a standoff, go! And then they blast through in the beginning. I didn't know what that was as a kid, but if you watch it, you can actually see they just ran down the hallway incredibly fast. Rey and Kylo do those flips and jumps and those powerful landings when they landed.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah. So I liked how, again, talking about how they showed the Force in different ways. That was one of the things that they took. Everyone's like, well, what did they bring from Last Jedi? Well, they're able to communicate using the Force.
Exactly. That whole bonding through the Force was great because that's what the Force is really about.
Yeah. A dyad in the Force is what they were called.
They really used that story element from The Last Jedi so well in this movie. And it didn't feel cheap to me. It was just this unique new thing. And that's what I loved about this film too. As much as it wrapped things up, it did give us new things we had always wanted to see in Star Wars, but they actually worked.
Yeah, I liked it.
There's a great moment that they kind of fixed, which was the start of almost everybody's problems from The Last Jedi, was the initial moment where Luke takes his lightsaber that he finally got back and just throws it over his shoulder.
Which
and
nobody liked that.
Immediately pissed off the majority of the fans because they're like, what
Opening
the
scene.
heck? But as a filmmaker, I get the idea of that. Like, we're going to throw away everything you thought was going to happen in this movie, and we're going to give you something different.
That's true.
What did you feel about that? And how did you feel about how they fixed that in the new movie?
I got this from a friend, which is why, again, we avoid spoilers or for other reviews because it influences our opinion. But what your friend Ruby said, he mentioned that, you know, Luke grabs the lightsaber when she throws it into the fire.
Jedi's weapon deserves more respect.
Oh yeah, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. And it seemed like it didn't come so much from Luke Skywalker, it came a little bit more from Mark Hamill. Yeah,
it was kind of Mark Hamill being like, I wasn't happy with everything that happened with my character, the way I went out, and I'm glad we can kind of address that we're sorry, we're fixing it. But it also kind of still works, like, if his character does obviously do that in Last Jedi, his character learned a whole lesson again through Yoda and working with Rey that he needed to come back. And it's sort of like him now, after learning all those lessons, is like, I shouldn't have done that.
Or
it was a bad mistake.
She talks about kind of isolating herself on the island. She's like, I'm going to do exactly what you did. And he goes, that was a mistake.
That was a mistake to do that in the movie because it's not what you guys wanted. Yeah, and like her landing there, throwing wood on the TIE fighter, burning it was almost... I kind of read it as almost like she was trying to burn down everything that happened in that last movie. It was a little heavy-handed towards Rian Johnson. I feel bad because he really did something that we all wanted to see. We wanted to see something new and different in Star Wars. He gave it a big shot.
Yeah.
And he took the backlash for it. Rian Johnson's an amazing filmmaker. He just did Knives Out, which has gotten all these Academy nominations and stuff.
Seen it yet.
So he's going to be okay.
He's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But that was a great scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was really needed. It was another way to kind of tie up what happened in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, you can't ignore what happened in The Last Jedi, but...
Even the Porks came back.
They're like,
everything's on fire! Oh!
His face was like, oh! He had such a like, oh my god! I love that. That was actually funny for doing the Rise of Skywalker poster that we did for International, is sneaking in...
You snuck a Porg in there.
The only attention that poster got, because it was mostly an international poster, unfortunately, is everybody's like, Porgs are back for the Rise of Skywalker!
What made you go... I'm going to throw a Porg in there.
Because people like the Porgs. And I was like, I'm just going to stick every character that I love that doesn't get any treatment in the posters on the poster. Like Hux, all the bad guys, and stick a Porg in there too. How do you feel Luke's story kind of wrapped up in this new movie?
I like that he got to kind of like bring Rey back to fulfilling what she was meant to be there to do. Even as a Force Ghost, but especially because he got to lift the X-Wing finally.
Oh my gosh!
The thing we all wanted to see because they just showed it in the water in Last Jedi. Cool. By the end of the movie, we're going to see him Force lift that thing up, and he didn't. So it was cool to see that.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Luke raising the X-Wing because it was kind of a completion of his story, showing like he is a fully powerful Jedi Master now, and he's done... His journey is complete, and he did that. It was so Yoda. Even the way he was like holding his hand, kind of looked like Yoda's little clawed fingers, and it was so emotional. It was one of those emotional rising moments of happiness.
I could feel you getting emotional during that scene every time we saw it.
Our friend JC, who owns the Scummy Village Cantina, was apparently like emotionally broken
such
at that moment.
We just heard, we're like, who's the woman crying over there? Oh, it's JC.
JC. We love JC though. We wouldn't have gotten to go to the opening night without JC, so thank you, buddy. So now that Luke's story was wrapped up and it was great, do you feel Leia's story arc wrapped up really well in this movie too?
I think it was really cool to see that she used the Force to get to her son. It was again one of those sacrificing moments. Like Last Jedi, I wanted to see her sacrifice herself. I wanted to see Leia take the place of Holdo.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. I wanted to see her sacrificing herself where Laura Dern did. To see her sacrificing herself in this film for her son in order to save Rey, I think that was really cool.
It worked. And, there's only so much they could have done, unfortunately, because Carrie passed away before they filmed.
But the way that they did it, I'm fascinated that they were able to do that much with her.
That's a good point to talk about. How did it work for you? Did it feel forced? Did it work?
I was afraid that it wasn't going to work because I knew that they were going to do this going into this film. JJ talked about it. He said, we had a lot of things left over that I saw that we had a storyline with her that we could finish. Yeah. And there was. And I was afraid it was going to feel forced, but it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they never showed us those deleted scenes. No, it's true. Her scenes worked really well, and it's no different than how they would normally film a scene. Like, they computer generate backgrounds and cut people out and rotoscope them into other shots always, so it was no different than that.
Yeah, very impressed.
I really loved how Leia was implemented in the story right from the start, and it didn't feel like she was just there to kind of stick her in. It actually felt like it made sense to the story, which is, again, her helping bring her son back. I mean, Han tried to bring him back, and now it was her attempt as being a mother to bring him back.
But it took everything she had left in her.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to see her go. She ended it with R2 because the movie started with her in R2.
I didn't even think about that till now.
And then it ended with her in R2, and I think it's just such a beautiful thing.
It was beautiful. And the other amazing thing that we kind of talked about already is seeing that flashback scene of Luke and Leia when they're a bit younger training with lightsabers. Mm-hmm. It was a great way to hide their faces by having the blast shields, but that's like Luke's start to practicing with the blast shield, using the Force to do all these lightsaber maneuvers.
And she had a cool lightsaber.
It justified why she was a Jedi Master, working with Rey, how she, again, was able to do the Mary Poppins moment from The Last Jedi. It totally makes that work.
Yeah.
And you got to see Leia like you always heard about in the comic books and the Legends books.
Yeah.
He literally used a shot of her probably from Return of the Jedi, which is probably the last time you saw her.
I'm happy with where her character went.
And seeing her have her own lightsaber, that was cool because I like the design of her lightsaber because it was like kind of similar to Ben's lightsaber.
I was gonna say it's very similar.
Yeah, the grips on her lightsaber look very similar to how Ben's grips are on his lightsaber, which is cool. So Kylo Ren and his redemption story in this movie. A lot of people thought after Force Awakens, after he killed Han Solo, that was it. You can't forgive this guy for what he just did. What do you feel like? How do you feel his story ended up?
Well, the thing is, like you just said, we can't forgive him. His dad forgave him. I thought that was brilliant because if Han Solo forgave him, then we kind of all have to too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were upset that he died at the end of this. They were like, well, that would have been super cool if he survived, but think of it too. Darth Vader had to die.
History repeats itself. Yeah, Vader died at the end of Return of the Jedi after he did his sacrificial move to destroy the Emperor and save Luke. It's sort of the same thing. He saved Rey, and by doing that, he gave his life in a sense, and he became one with the Force.
Speaking of kisses, the lesbians that kiss, Poe and Finn.
Yeah, leading into some other characters. Poe and Finn, some of our other favorite new characters in the new Star Wars trilogies. How did you feel about their storyline in this movie compared to like The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens?
It seemed like they had a lot of experiences together on the Falcon that we didn't get to see in between the last two films. So their kind of relationship had really formed. They kind of acted like an old married couple throughout the whole movie where they were just kind of sassing each other back and forth.
Which is kind of fun because there's been theories since The Force Awakens that Poe and Finn had a little bit of a little relationship going on together. That moment where Poe looks at Finn and goes, keep that jacket. Everybody thought that they were a couple or they liked each other.
Well, yeah, that's, a good majority of people wanted a representation in the Star Wars franchise of the LGBTQ community, and they were an opportunity for that. And I think a lot of people were disappointed that that didn't happen with them. There's still a possibility that it could happen with them. I've heard that in Poe's story that's definitely hinted at more.
That's a book that just came
out?
The book
that came out. Yeah. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard that, there's a little bit more hint that him and Finn have something together, which is, again, like, this movie, between this and The Last Jedi, it seems like they have had some adventures together. They could have had a relationship, and now they're just friends, and they're continuing as friends. That's why they're able to sass with each other back and forth a little bit more.
They have a really deep bond together, for sure.
Totally fine.
It's totally fine. Finn and Poe can have a relationship together, but the way JJ and even the actors have been talking about it in interviews is just saying that they're just so connected on a deeper level than even a physical relationship in that sense. They really love each other. They're really close bros.
They acted like an old married couple throughout the entire film.
They kind of did.
Yeah, they were just like bickering with each other and being like, well, why don't you tell me that? There was a lot of sassy moments between them.
Yeah, even Finn is like, always. He kind of had that. They kind of had like they were an old married gay couple, which... It was fine. It was fun.
This is the fear. You're going to lose audience members if you say that you're okay with them being gay.
Yeah. It's You know, there's a lot of representation in Star Wars. They had that final scene with the whole, I forget her name, but it was like Holdo, the other resistance leader.
Yeah.
She had a moment. She kissed her partner as well on screen. They kind of hinted at earlier in the movie and then throughout that Kerry Russell's character, Zori Bliss, and Poe Dameron had a relationship at some point too.
He could be gender fluid, creature fluid, like Lando. He's very Lando-ish.
And even Billy D. Williams admitted in an interview recently that he's gender fluid himself, which is totally okay.
You know, so, you know, he might have had a relationship with Zori Bliss, which obviously he did. They made it very obvious in this movie. He might have also had a relationship with Finn.
It seemed like everybody had a deep bond, relationship, and love, which, like, even that final hug of Finn and Rey and Poe, like...
I love you. No, I love you. And you love him, and he loves her, and they love each other.
They're going
we all
through
love
so
each other.
much. There's so much they're doing in these movies that they're almost coming close to dying all the time. Even, like, again, Kylo and Rey's final moment. Like, it could be a love thing, or it could be more of, like... Affection and happiness and just overwhelming emotion. And they're all just so passionate and happy to be alive and be with each other that they're just kind of like, whatever, who cares?
Don't you go kissing around everybody
You're
anywhere.
my only You're my
You're
only
like,
lady.
it's Star Wars. It doesn't mean anything. It's Star Wars.
Okay. So overall, their character arcs beyond the relationship of them two, I really like that Finn seemed to be more... He kind of got treated a little bit like he was the laughing stock a little bit in The Last Jedi. Like, he was
With
always
that
in, like...
jacuzzi suit.
Yeah, jacuzzi suit, and like there was that like, oh come on! He was almost always in over his head, like he couldn't handle himself.
Yeah, but you know, he had something to tell Rey in this.
He did have something to tell Rey, and that is something I actually really liked a lot too. Is that it justifies his character in The Force Awakens picking up that lightsaber and being able to handle it. Is that apparently it seems like Finn is Force sensitive.
Yeah, I rewatched those scenes with Finn after watching The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm like, ooh, okay, you know, I buy it.
Yeah, they really emphasized, and I think even JJ said in an interview recently that he was not going to say that I love you as they were about to die in the sinking sands. He was about to say I'm Force sensitive, which I really liked because I would love to see Finn be a Jedi too. And I love the idea that even maybe Janna, the new Stormtrooper character that they met, was possibly also Force sensitive too. They kind of hinted at it with a lot of people.
When was she supposed to be Force sensitive?
I thought in their conversation on the Falcon when he realizes he's a Stormtrooper, she was like, there was like a calling or something that told us to not do this. And that's kind of what Finn had initially too.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that they could be a couple?
Janna and Finn? I think that was sort of the idea behind it, is like people didn't really like, unfortunately, Kelly Marie Tran, we love her, she's wonderful.
They're like, no, you stay here, Rose. We gotta go fight this space battle without you.
I'm glad they gave Rose a better story a little bit, even though it was not as much of a main story point.
But when?
But
when? Never.
They gave Finn a love interest now too, which also kind of helps with this whole love triangle between Poe and Finn. It's just like everybody's got somebody they're into.
It's just they have to do it.
They have to do it.
Still technically a Disney movie.
Exactly.
There has to be a love interest.
So I would love to see more with Jaina as well too, because they kind of hint with Lando in the end that something's gonna happen.
I don't know. I didn't care for her character.
Really?
I think she was forced. I feel, again, like those characters that get a little bit too forced, I don't care for them. I think they kind of rushed her storyline a little bit. I think that it was a little bit forced, her and Lando talking to each other. Like,
okay.
How did they happen to have that conversation? Well, let's find out. Like,
I think they plan it there in case they want to do something with it.
Well, the thing is, it's again, like, if nothing happens, then we're going to be let down.
Yeah, it's true.
We're going to be like, well, then why did you hint at that and not do anything with it? Personally, I don't care for it.
So again, I was really happy with Finn's character development in this story and making him a lot more confident. Even the way he was in the cockpit of the Falcon shooting the blaster. The guns.
He jumped in and knew what to do. That was great. They were like a team.
Yeah, he was very sure of himself and confident. And it's like, yeah, he's a stormtrooper. He's not a bumbling fool. He's had training. He knows how to handle a lightsaber. He knows how to handle a weapon. Like, you saw him on the top of that destroyer in the end. He was blasting away like he was a soldier. Yeah. I liked it. I liked that he was a general in the end and got to have a really recognized position. General. So what did you think about Poe and his storyline in this one, getting treated a little bit nicer than from The Last Jedi?
I think he did have to get slapped around a little bit. In the last one, he's a little bit too cocky and he needed to be put in his place a bit.
True.
But I liked that, he got to basically lead the resistance in this last big battle. He was in charge. And then to see him kind of break down when things weren't going well and say, I'm sorry, guys, I thought we had a chance.
He lost hope a little bit. He stopped believing.
He stopped believing. Oh, my God. One of my favorite scenes is always when the Falcon is involved. But to see Lando come in with all those other ships, but specifically when they left and then the Millennium Falcon's taken off, Poe's X-Wing is there, Rey's kind of leading the way with her X-Wing. So cool.
So cool.
You want to see that. You want to see them side by side.
Yeah. So speaking of the Millennium Falcon and Lando, what did you think about Lando's cameos? How did you... I mean, he hasn't been Lando for so many years. How was his acting? How did he work in the story?
Sorry. That's not my opinion of Lando. He's gotten older in years. He's slowed down a little bit, you know, but he's still that cool cat. I love that he came to help the group because Leia sent for him.
Yep.
I think that's great because, you know, he's got this deep love for Leia.
I love her. Give her my love.
Give Leia my love. You know, he came because she called to him.
Yeah.
I think that was great because when we first saw the movie, I didn't know why he was there because everything went so fast. I didn't catch the part where he's like, Leia sent for me.
Yeah.
That makes much more sense. I like that he was piloting the Falcon again.
That was like Return of the Jedi.
It was the only person that was worthy of it, you know, besides Chewbacca. It's technically Chewie's Falcon at this point.
Yeah, but it's technically originally Lando's ship, and it's nice to see him back. And I personally like seeing him in the yellow outfit, and it was a tie back to Solo, obviously, to say, like Donald Glover and him are the same. You didn't like it?
I think if he had just worn the tie, or just worn the cape, or just worn the shirt, one piece. I didn't think he needed the full-blown outfit, because how many people have a full-blown outfit from 40 plus years ago? Who has that lying around that still fits him?
Styles come back.
No.
History repeats itself, as we've been talking about.
I think it should have been more subtle. A little thing. That way the fans could go, oh, that's the Solo tie. He still has it, you know?
I liked it because I get what they're doing as filmmakers, trying to be like, Billy D and Donald Glover are the same person.
Donald Glover did great.
Donald Glover's great as Lando. I loved him.
Fantastic as him.
But Solo was the last film before The Rise of Skywalker, so they really wanted to carry over that thing. And the first time you ever met Lando on the Falcon, he was wearing that outfit, basically.
Yeah.
So, I get it. I get it. I'm accepting
I think it was great that his character came back. I think it was needed. Everyone was like, oh, shoot, we killed everybody.
Yeah.
And the fans want some people that are original to the original trilogy. Let's bring him back.
Surprised if they didn't have that idea from the start. And I thought his acting actually really worked. He's definitely gotten slower in his age. You can hear him in interviews. He takes a little bit longer to make his thoughts. But
he's still super cool.
Yeah, his line delivery was great. And he's like, Chewie, hey buddy, how's it going? It sounded like Lando.
Yeah, it did.
I liked seeing him come back. I especially liked in the final battle scene seeing Wedge and Tilly's come back. Wedge and Tilly's was Luke's like right-hand man, famous pilot, one of the best pilots in the Rebellion. And he's actually Ewan McGregor's uncle in real life.
Oh, that's right.
That was cool.
Yeah.
People had always been wondering, like, why isn't Wedge in these stories? Where is he? But he showed up in that final battle, which was awesome.
He's such a fan favorite.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Emperor a little bit more. I don't know if we talked about him enough.
He was the devil.
The devil.
Palpatine had the most classic story arc, which is he was the devil.
Yeah. He was tempting Kylo Ren. He was pulling the strings all the time. I loved how they did Palpatine in this movie. Yeah. He was scarier in this movie than he's ever been. And that was something that was weird to me. The prequels, because you got to know him as the Chancellor for so long, you kind of get to know him as a human. And it was a little hard for me to accept him becoming evil suddenly.
That's true.
Having a character be fully evil and to accept them as purely evil in a movie is kind of difficult, because if you understand their motivation, sometimes you're like, I get why they're doing it, but I don't agree with it.
I mean, this kind of works because he was just like the devil in disguise. I thought it was kind of cool seeing Kylo Ren kind of dropping into...
He was descending into hell at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it was basically like he was descending into hell. And that he talked about, you know, I am the voice of everybody you've ever known.
I'm every voice you've heard.
Yeah, and that's kind of how, like, the devil works, where he kind of influences this person. It's, again, like that classic story arc. Yeah. It's that classic story that everybody knows and can accept.
What did you think about Sidious or Palpatine? Palpatine. It's hard to say sometimes.
Palpatine. We've been practicing this before we started filming.
Palpatine. How did you feel about him being the one who was literally controlling Snoke? And they didn't really fully explain how he was controlling Snoke, but they implied like he built Snoke literally or cloned him somehow.
I don't get it, because there was a jar of Snokes floating around in that scene.
Put your jar of Snokes away
He's
before
like,
people come over.
I made Snoke. Like,
yeah.
So, but why?
Why did he need to?
Why didn't you? Was he busy like rebuilding himself? He's like, I have to make something else. I'm not ready.
Well, he was physically incapable of moving, it looked like. He was basically hanging on like he was
that machine.
Yeah, he was like a jacket on a coat rack. He couldn't move, basically. Which is also why he wanted to, and this is actually something that was supposed to happen in the original trilogies. The Emperor always wanted to transfer his essence into Anakin. Anakin, a younger body that he could transfer his soul and his power into and take over. He also wanted to do the same thing with Luke when he was trying to turn Luke to the dark side.
And with Rey.
And now with Rey, he wanted to do Rey or Kylo. He wanted to transfer his essence into whoever was the more powerful one.
I think it was just another way to kind of throw away Snoke's character a bit.
Yeah, to explain it. This is why he died so soon, because we had the Emperor coming in the whole time.
Yeah. I guess I like it because, again, it's another one of those characters that is through all the timelines.
Yeah.
And everyone, if you're J.J. Abrams being like, okay, who's the new bad guy that's gonna come? We can't just create a Snoke because everyone just like kind of threw him away because they didn't have a backstory for him.
You need to have some connection to something nostalgic that would be like, ooh, he's back.
Yeah.
And people love Ian McDermott, the actor who played the Emperor.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
an amazing actor.
People freaked out. What was that? Was it D23 that he came out?
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, shit.
His Emperor is so good.
Yeah.
Him and Ewan McGregor were two of the big standouts from the prequels. And luckily, Ewan's also getting his Obi-Wan show now.
Yes!
So excited for that. Are you guys excited for that? Let us know below, too.
So excited.
My favorite thing about the Emperor in this new movie is, again, that he was just scary. He was the scariest I had ever seen him. And a lot of that had to do with the lighting. How they kept flashing light on his face where you could never fully see his image. When you're designing something, having things be in darkness or in shadow where you can't fully see it is what's scary. The unknown is scary, and not being able to fully focus on his face made him more terrifying. And then his eyes were even like whited out and rolled back.
Yeah.
I even felt like at times some of the flashing in and out that they were doing on his face, it would almost be like different versions of his face would suddenly get shown.
Yeah, what they did was like, this is like a classic thing that they do in kind of like horror movies, is there would be like a flash, he'd get closer, flash, he'd get closer.
Yeah.
And that's scary for people.
Yeah, it's unknown again. You don't know what's about to happen, and it's freaky.
And you were able to buy into the motivation of why, Kylo Ren was doing what he was doing. He was like, I need this fleet. This is a cool fleet that Satan is offering me.
Yeah.
And I have to kill Rey to get it, which
Yeah.
was the deal that they made. It gave you more kind of buy-in to these characters' actions.
Yeah. I wonder how much Kylo knew of the Emperor and knew that the Emperor was the master to his grandfather. So he's kind of like, I'm getting to be the better version of my grandfather than even he was. And he was a bit like egotistical in that moment, wanting that power and wanting to be him.
And take the place that Darth Vader couldn't. I like that they did that. Yeah. It was scary. It worked for me.
How did you feel with the redemption in the end with Rey and Kylo confronting him and fighting him, and how Rey finally destroyed him? How did that work for you?
I love that they came together. I love the part where, she like slips him the lightsaber. He uses the Force. He gets the lightsaber.
There's a little Han Solo, Han Solo moment.
Kills off the Knights of Ren, comes to her. They go and face him off, and they both like whip out their sabers at the same time, because it kind of goes back to, Luke and Leia. Everyone talks about, the Solo twins.
Yeah.
Really. That's kind of what people wanted to see, but wasn't happening. So this is kind of like that close
as you can get
as
to
we
it.
could get to it. Yeah.
I love the final battle. The first time I saw it, I didn't love it. I thought it wasn't powerful enough of an ending. He just suddenly died, but it actually worked a lot for me.
Oh.
Seeing it the second
You
time.
didn't think that? When she had the two sabers and she's like, and I'm all the Jedi, and like, Force pushed it?
I didn't get it at first.
I loved it.
I loved it the second time, though. I loved it so much more.
And she had Luke and Leia's saber together.
It's true. They were like with her. Okay. I got it even more.
You better know.
One of my favorite actual moments in that final scene, which I don't know if a lot of you have caught, is actually when the Emperor stands up fully charged with their essence, and he goes,
Says, I have fallen.
Yes, just as I have fallen, so will the last Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then he takes Kylo and force pushes him into the white of the light and off the cliff into the pit.
Here goes your grandson.
Basically, that was him getting revenge for what Vader did to him in Return of the Jedi. When Vader picked him up and threw him into the pit, he's like, I'm getting back at you for your grandfather throwing me, and now I'm going to throw you in, the last Skywalker. I love that. That was a cool little moment.
It was pretty cool.
And the way that the Emperor actually died is very much like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's what I was thinking.
The way his face was melting was just like the final scene with the Nazis melting from the Ark of the Covenant.
Very much like that. I thought that the whole time.
Okay.
Fourth bathroom break.
Fourth bathroom break in this discussion. Again, the cider has been very delicious. So now that we've talked about all of our feelings about the Rise of Skywalker and the wrapping up of this trilogy, which, sorry, it took a long time because it's 42 years that we're wrapping up here.
And this is the first time we've really had a heart-to-heart conversation about our last 3 viewings of this movie. So, we wanted to share it with you guys because we feel like you are a part of our family too.
So thank you for staying here to the end and watching this with us because we, again, want to know your opinions of these films and what you thought about the Rise of Skywalker. The big final question everybody wants to know is, where do we see these Star Wars movies going in the future? What do we want to see next? Do we want to see more of Rey and more of these characters that, honestly, I love the new characters. I would love to see more of them.
Yeah.
But what do we think about the future of Star Wars and where it's going?
I think that was a brilliant move for them to introduce the Mandalorian right around the same time period to show, hey, we can take Star Wars and make a great story without the Skywalkers involved.
Yeah, that's one of maybe my biggest gripes with the newest film is sort of how big the scale kept getting over and over throughout the films. Like, the size of the fleet that the Final Order had was just so big, I couldn't even, wrap my head around it.
How do you make that? It takes credits.
It takes
and
credits.
manpower. I mean, they explained a little bit by saying, we stole children and raised them, but even that's a whole lifetime.
Yeah.
That's a whole lifetime. That's not a couple years in between these 2 films happening.
I can forgive the Force, and I can believe in the Force. I do believe in the Force. I can believe in that way more than I can believe in the fact that they had, 1,000 Star Destroyers, which are ginormous. That's so much work to build one of those. How did they do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. I can't wrap my brain around it. But I like that about The Mandalorian. It's a simpler storyline. It's much easier to relate to things because it's more of a real human experience. I'm really happy that we have this story and we don't know where it's going. And we can just enjoy it and it's easier to digest.
I'm happy with them being done.
Yeah.
I think the movies need a little bit of a break because we just, again, like everyone's talked about, we had so much in such a short period of time that we didn't have for 40 years. Give it a breather.
So this past year and these past couple years has been so much Star Wars on my brain constantly and within my feelings and emotions. I kind of need a little bit of a chill out from it too. I love Star Wars so much, and I'm sure so many of you love Star Wars a lot, and Ashley loves Star Wars a lot. I definitely need that breather to not be thinking about Star Wars 24/7 sometimes.
I love chocolate too, but if I have chocolate, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm gonna kind of get, aversive to it.
I mean, literally this past year has been a huge year for Ashley and I doing Always Believe, creating this channel, building our flight crew, you guys who have been on these amazing trips with us, going across the galaxy to Galaxy's Edge, going on other adventures that we do as well. And so much of it has been Star Wars because it's been such a big Star Wars year. I mean, Galaxy's Edge was a huge part of the year for us to experience, and I'm glad we have that so we can keep playing and enjoying
making
Star Wars.
our own Star Wars stories.
Make our own Star Wars adventure, making costumes, getting to dress up and play Star Wars whenever we want.
And we have Celebration coming up.
Celebration next year. That's a big thing to look forward to. We have more Mandalorian next year at the time of actually Mandalorian comes out
It's going to come out in the fall. And
around
then
Celebration.
When is Obi-Wan coming out?
I don't know when Obi-Wan comes out. I think they're starting to film it.
So that's exciting. I think it's great to see Disney take Star Wars and, give us tastes of it.
Yeah.
I think The Mandalorian is a great way to show what Star Wars could be
Yeah.
and how it could continue. It's a way to maintain your fan base and give people kind of what they want without oversaturating it.
Yeah, I mean, this last movie was kind of just here's all the popcorn!
I know.
And Star Wars, Mandalorian is kind of here's the best piece of popcorn you've ever had. You just need one piece, and you're damn, that's some good popcorn.
This Baby Yoda right here.
Baby Yoda, just everything Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni has done has been so good.
Amazing.
Can't even express how good it is.
And I think it's just kind of what we needed at this point.
It's we still get Star Wars, but it's a little bit easier to take in. And we get all the things we love about it.
Yeah.
And, on top of that, you get episodes of Always Believe. You can hang out with us at Galaxy's Edge, go on adventures, create your own adventures. Check out our style guide. Check out how to make your own Star Wars costume and go wear it at the park and live your own Star Wars adventures too.
That's what we're doing.
There's so many ways to still enjoy Star Wars beyond the main 9 films that we have.
Are you gonna be sad that it's over though?
I am, and that was kind of my first reaction after we saw it the first night, is I wasn't exactly fully emotionally happy with what I saw because it was too much to take in. That I was like,
you're like, I didn't want it to end like this.
Is this what I got? And then it made me almost for a second question Galaxy's Edge even. I was like,
No.
I was just so overwhelmed emotionally from a lifetime of being such a passionate fan and everything it's brought to my life. It's brought Ashley into my life, brought us together. It gave
you a great job.
Gave me a great job. I was able to do these amazing posters and give back to the community in a way that I never dreamed was possible. But after doing these things and having met Ashley, that's where Always Believe came from. It showed that whatever you believe in life, whatever you love, which for one of these has been Star Wars, love it to your fullest because it will bring you amazing things. It will bring amazing friends into your life like you guys, our flight crew. We are so happy that Star Wars has created this community for us to all hang out together and just share something we emotionally can connect on and, you know, discover our own hero's journey in life. And I'm so thankful for Star Wars, and that's why we did this very long review because
Very long.
It's changed my life in ways that I could have never imagined. And I feel like Luke Skywalker and Anakin on this crazy journey of Star Wars, and I feel like I've kind of wrapped up my journey in a sense, but we're starting new journeys together.
I feel like Jar Jar Binks on this ride. I'm just here!
I'm just here!
My name is Mr. Ashley Austin. Mr. Loves You and Always Believe.
Sorry.
I am comic relief!
You are, but...
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It brought me to you. I followed a little Ewok into that bar, and there you were.
Really? The Ewoks were important for Star Wars because Ashley found me.
Somebody was dressed as an Ewok behind Scum and Villainy when they used to let you in the back way, and I was like, is this the bar?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's an Ewok walking that way, so I'm going to follow the Ewok.
Do the Ewok and walk into the bar.
And there you were.
Again, this is why we talk so much about Star Wars on our channel. Always Believe is not a Star Wars channel. We do a lot of Star Wars stuff, and again, a lot of Star Wars stuff this past year because of how much was going on. But our channel is really about just following your passions, following what you love, and realizing you can have so much fun if you just play and you learn to connect with somebody and make new friends and just do it. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Love what you love, and it's okay. And Star Wars is that place where you can be accepted for who you are and believe in the unbelievable. And that's our reason why we love Star Wars so much.
But it's not over.
It's not over?
No.
What do you mean it's not over?
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes.
I'm a little nervous.
I was surprised.
Ashley has a surprise I don't know about yet.
I couldn't give it to you at Christmas because we were away.
Okay. Is it... What is it? I'm a little nervous now. Like I'm watching Rise of Skywalker for the first time.
Keep your eyes closed, but put your hands out, palms facing up.
Use
there you
the
go.
force, Bryan.
Use the force.
Use the force,
Use the
Bryan. Oh my gosh, what is this?
Open your eyes. Merry Christmas.
A PS4? Why do we have a PS4?
Oh, to play these.
What is this? What? Fallen Order? What?
I know, I couldn't put it on the plane, and I wanted to give it to
No
you.
way.
And I didn't want it distracting us from finishing the costume style guide, so I didn't give
my
it to you
gosh.
early.
So a lot of you guys have been asking us if we're gonna play Jedi Fallen Order because
We are!
we are now. I love Star Wars video games, but we haven't been playing games the past year.
I haven't been playing games the last 3 years since I started dating you because we've been playing other games.
Yeah.
Playing with other lightsabers.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't been playing video games in a while because I've been working a lot, and we've been working on Always Believe. To edit these videos takes a lot of work, so video games are a little distracting. Now we can use it for Always Believe.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so I guess, guys, we're going to be playing and doing some reviews of our thoughts of Fallen Order. And that'll be coming soon in the new year, so really excited about that. I've heard great things about this game.
I'm so excited.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So guys, thank you again so much for watching our final review and reaction to The Rise of Skywalker and sort of our feelings of the entire Star Wars saga. It's been a lot.
That was a lot. I hope you guys took some TT breaks.
Yeah.
And had something to drink.
You know, stay tuned. Like and subscribe. We have more adventures coming. More trips from Galaxy's Edge. We are going to the opening of Rise of the Resistance.
We're going to get on that ride.
We're going to make that happen.
We're going
for
to
you
try
guys.
so hard.
We have that plan to do next month, so stay tuned for that. And be sure, again, to let us know below, what are your reactions to The Rise of Skywalker? Start a discussion. We want to know what you think about the movie because it's really important to us to know what you guys felt as well. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of Always Believe this entire year. Don't forget to play, create, and believe. Always believe. May the Force be with you. Always.
Bye, guys.